So let's talk about the big news of the day. Again, I'm recording this on Monday, but you'll be hearing it on Friday because we're doing the pre-recordings, so I don't have much of a gap while I'm on vacation. But the big news of the day, Monday, is that Alex Jones was taken off of iTunes. His podcast, 4 of his 5 podcasts were taken off of iTunes. He was, I believe, taken completely off of Spotify. Facebook has shut down some of his pages. YouTube, I think, as of now, may still have 1 or 2 of it, like they were taking down individual videos. iTunes announced that they were taking down his podcast at 3 in the morning local time, which is unusual. I think they knew that these other sites were going to take him down, and iTunes wanted to be first. They wanted to set the benchmark. Here's my thing about Alex Jones. So when I used to be a 9/11 truther. I used to be more believing in these conspiracy theories. And that's when people go, do your research. I was reading about Osama bin Laden when he gave an interview. I think it was with Time Magazine or Newsweek back in 2000. I was researching 9/11 on 9/12. Like, I was into that truther movement and into those conspiracy theories, and spent years and years and years looking into it. And I always say, generally, you fall down the rabbit hole and eventually you end up back on the surface and you go, everything's fake. That's all nonsense. If you keep an open mind, you fall through the rabbit hole, you come back and you're like, yeah, it wasn't a waste of time. I enjoyed the journey. But most of the conspiracies out there are complete and utter garbage. Entertaining garbage, but garbage nonetheless. So I used to go to InfoWars and Prison Planet back in 2001, 2002. It was amazing. It was this huge treasure trove of conspiracy thought. I've always seen Alex Jones as an entertainer first and a quote-unquote journalist second. And for lack of a better term, I think Alex Jones had a character. I think he might have originally believed some of the stuff he says, but I don't think he actually believes most of it. I think you would have to be a lunatic to believe every single thing that he's talked about over the years. It would drive you mad. So I believe it's an act. During his divorce with his wife, his defense lawyer said as much. He doesn't act like this around his kids. This is a performance that he puts on. And he lost that case, by the way. His wife is getting a ton of money through alimony because he cheated on her, apparently. I don't know. Allegedly, I guess I should say. Now, if you are a journalist and you are stating facts and you can show your work, basically, is a term I like to use a lot with the conspiracy theory community. You can say what you want. You can say reptilians are taking over the planet, but show your work. Show me documents. Show me proof. And I'll believe you. I'll be on your side. But if you can't show your work, then you're no different than someone telling me that China is making fake cabbage. You're using undisclosed sources. You're using people that are easily disputed and so on and so forth. Alex Jones can't show his work. If Alex Jones could actually show his work and say Sandy Hook was fake, which is one of the big lawsuits he's facing now by 2 families of Sandy Hook victims, if he could prove that, if a journalist or a researcher can prove that, you have that as your defense. But when you're just acting, when you're just making it up, and then people say what you're saying is hateful, you have no defense. Well, you have one, which is the First Amendment, but that 1, covers you from the government, and 2, it only covers you in the United States. And what iTunes and Google and Spotify and YouTube and all these groups can say is, 1, we're a private company, so we can choose what's on our platform, and we feel you are being hateful, Mr. Jones. Or, yes, you are protected by the First Amendment in the United States, but because we are a global company, we have to follow basically the strictest laws. The way America works is that generally the strictest law is what you fall under. If California has very strict gun control laws, but this nation has more lax gun control laws, generally fall under the purview of the strictest law. And I think that's what's happening to Alex Jones. Alex Jones, what they are saying is that he makes hateful content towards gays, transgendered people, and Muslims in particular. So they took his shows off. Do I think that causes a problem for the conspiracy community in large? Do I think that the fact that these outlets are banning Alex Jones, do I think it makes an impact on the conspiracy theory community at large? I do. I think it may make a positive impact. I think Alex Jones has been such a magnet of attention that if he's no longer the most visible voice in the conspiracy community, I think it may be taken a little more seriously. I think generally when you start talking about conspiracies or something like that, and someone can immediately just go, the water's turning the frogs gay, it dismisses it all. Now, to be fair, most conspiracy theories deserve to get dismissed, but I think you know what I'm saying. He is so bombastic and such a caricature of a conspiracy theorist. I think that it may help. I think it'll make room for other people to kind of move up in that conspiracy theory realm. Do I think that as society at large, it is beneficial to have Alex Jones removed? No, I don't. Now, to be fair on that, the comments that he makes that some would consider hateful, and to be honest, I don't watch the show. I went to the website a lot, but that was before he did his show. I've only seen the clips most people have seen. So when they say that he's hateful towards gays or transgender or Muslim people, I don't know. So they're making that claim, and I don't know. I haven't seen any clips or anything like that. But I think for society at large, for some of the biggest content providers to shut someone down because they say they're producing hate speech, when in general, he's not known for producing hate speech. In general, he's known for saying crazy things about Sandy Hook and 9/11 and satanic pedophiles taking over the world and stuff like that. He's not Richard Spencer, where that's all he's saying. He generally makes these wacky conspiracy theories. And I think what the problem is that we have him deplatformed from some of the major platforms. I've heard the term, this is basically digital book burning, because he will be gone. It costs a lot to host a podcast, or especially video, on your own site. The upload, download, the bandwidth is insane. So you get deplatformed from these major platforms. There's nothing else for him to really distribute his content and, keep his company going. And I think what we're going to see is a Roseanne James Gunn situation where the left takes out Roseanne for her tweet about a black woman look like a monkey, which I can't believe that she still wrote that. And then the right takes out James Gunn for tweeting jokes about pedophilia. And it just becomes this tit for tat, this back and forth thing. I think that's what we're going to see. What the next big push will be to get Young Turks deplatformed or something like that. And I don't think that type of tribal warfare is good for society. I don't think that it's good for the culture. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I have a feeling that this isn't going to last very long. I have a feeling that this is going to be revoked, that they are going to allow him back on the platforms, because I just don't. I don't see it sticking. I think he could. If he can prove that I never made those hateful comments, or that video that I supposedly made a hateful comment had been up for 2 years on iTunes. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But again, I think for the community, for the conspiracy theory community, it's nice to have one of the biggest, most laughable characters in it removed is beneficial, because then more thought-provoking or more well thought out conspiracy theorists can move to the top. But I think as society at large, I don't think it's a good thing. So we'll see how this plays out.